Welcome back to the Peruvian Waltz podcast. I almost messed that up. Not a great start for me, but we're back. We're back. Well, most of us are, anyways. Firstly, as always, we have Christopher on. How are you, Christopher?
Pretty good, pretty good. I am sporting, if you're watching this on YouTube, my Municipal jersey today because I like to wear jerseys from all over Peru.
That's gotta be a theme. All you have to wear a different jersey every pod, and maybe like do a round. Or if you run out of jerseys, then just go call up Peru, and then if you can find some in the US, anyways, I can already send you some.
Oh, sounds good, sounds good. I like jerseys.
Okay, and our other guest is someone new in the pod, or someone I've known for a while, Brian Valdivia, my tocayo. Not really, you're with a Y. How are you,
Yeah.
Brian?
I'm good. Hello, everyone. Good.
All right, and I
Yeah.
almost forgot my manners. I'm your host, Brian Birdie. Do you have anything else to say, Brian? I think I interrupted you by accident.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I think I interrupted you by accident. Is there anything else?
Oh, no, I was just saying hi to everyone, that doesn't know
Oh.
me.
Okay, so as you noticed, you might have noticed two things. Peter's not on the pod tonight. He had a few work commitments, so shout out to him. If you listen to us after, you're awesome, and we hope to have you back next week.
Yeah,
And
we miss you.
the other guy we're gonna have on, Christian Eduardo. He had a few mic issues, as you saw on the thumbnail that I made. That's still gonna be the official thumbnail for the video, but he couldn't make it tonight either because of mic issues. So again, shout out to you if you're listening, and yeah, we can begin. So we can begin with the Copa Libertadores talk, as I said, and the Copa Libertadores. There are two matches: Real Garcilaso versus Santos and Alianza Lima versus Boca. Let's start with Real Garcilaso versus Santos first because that was the first match, and I guess that's the. I don't want to discredit any of the matches, but you can say that's the lesser important one because most people are focused on the other one. So. Unfortunately, I couldn't watch the match because I was at the Estadio Nacional waiting for the Alianza game. So, Christopher, take it away.
Awesome. Okay, so first of all, I think Santos, let's be honest, Santos is a big team from Brazil. Real Garcilaso is a team that almost nobody knows outside of Peru, right? So I honestly think that they underestimated Real Garcilaso. I think that was their first mistake right off the bat. They did not know where they were going and who they were going to be playing against, right? And I think that the Real Garcilaso coach, Oscar Ibanez, really used that to his advantage. He played a very aggressive team against Santos side that is obviously not accustomed to playing at such high altitude, and that was really probably its downfall, right? I think that Real Garcilaso was smart at looking for the first goal, being aggressive from the beginning, looking for a goal right away, finding it, and not doing what some Peruvian teams have done in the past, which is, oh, we scored a goal. All right, let's back down and try to protect ourselves right now, which is something that I myself have suggested to teams like Universitario that are currently a little bit weak. But, well, like I was saying, Real Garcilaso kind of continue to push on, right? The only thing that I kind of didn't like about the team is that they could have had a little bit more footwork, a lot more passes, a lot of playing the ball kind of low and to the ground. There was a period there where they could try to continue to be aggressive, and so therefore they kind of relied on kind of just throwing those long balls, right? Those shots over the heads of the Santos defenders. That to me was kind of the downside of the game. But other than that, we have to give it to them. Chapo Ramua had a wonderful game, right? Most of Real Garcilaso had a wonderful game. So it was for sure a good game for them.
I did want to say that there was a bit of a problem with Santos in their approach to the game. I couldn't watch the game, but I can't speak for one of the context. I was on Instagram the other day, and my friend who lives here in Lima, she went and took a picture of one of Santos' players a day before the game. Now that is a big mistake already. Not taking the picture, that's totally fine. But the big mistake is that you shouldn't go to a high altitude city if you have a game one day before or on the day that you arrive, because that is a big mistake, because that's the days you're usually sick from altitude. They usually get altitude sickness, and you're going to suffer that day. That's partly why, from what I saw, Garcilaso really dominated Santos, and that's part of the big issue because you shouldn't. When I went to Cusco on I think December, November for the Segunda final, I really suffered the first day. I was with a huge headache. And I couldn't breathe. But the next day, I ran across a part of Cusco, and I didn't lose my breath. So Santos' big mistake was really going on the day that when they should have been there like 3 days before. So that was one of the biggest mistakes. Brian, I'll let you come into the discussion. What do you think of all this?
Yeah, Garcilaso just has to take advantage of that altitude, and if they underestimate them, good for them, It's a really tough team. Every group in Copa Libertadores is tough. Like you said, in their preparation for Santos, yeah, it was weak. That's all I would like to say, since I also was not able to watch the game.
All right, no worries. Christopher, do you have anything else to add before we move to Alianza versus Boca?
I think we need to talk about, because like we were remembering last podcast, Real Garcilaso had a similar start last year or 2014, right, where they went against a big Brazilian team and they had a great game, but unfortunately, right after that, they lost all their other games. So I think it's important that we kind of think about that, right? That we think about, is this Real Garcilaso side going to be able to continue to keep, working hard and getting those points at home to move on to the next stage? Or is this it? I mean, is this just kind of one spark and now they're going to be done? So, for me personally, I don't know if the decision has been made. In my mind, I haven't decided. I think we're going to have to see him play some more for sure.
Yeah, and I wanted to add to that I don't. First of all, you gotta see who's in Garcilaso's group. They're an Argentinian, a Uruguayan, and a Brazilian. Now they've already beat the Brazilian, and they should get wins against the Uruguayan and the Argentinian, because those are the types of sides that suffer in the altitude. Now Nacional, I don't rate them too highly. I like them. I'm Nacional in Uruguay, but I don't think they're too good, to be honest. I think that they're gonna. It's the rematch because they faced off in 2013. Garcilaso won. They also underestimated them, and it's the rematch. But I mean, I think this team is a little worse. Like, they might be fired up, those players, but I just can't see them winning. And you also got to remember that in 2014, Garcilaso played in Huancayo. They did not play in Cusco, so that this could be a bit of a more of advantage for them that they're playing in Cusco this time. And if other teams if other teams prepare better than Real Garcilaso, or Real Garcilaso, my bad. If other teams prepare better than Santos, then they'll give Garcilaso more of a game, because Santos' preparation for the game was really, really poor. But that I still think the Garcilaso have enough of them to get the home wins. Away from home, that's what the question really comes in. Are they actually any good, or are they just winning because of their home advantage?
No,
so,
and this.
You guys don't have anything else?
This time, I was really glad to see a lot of people in the stadium. There was a lot of people in the stadium. I was not expecting to be that many people. And hopefully with this win, they'll continue to keep going to the other Copa Libertadores games. I want to see if Luis Aguiar will play in Cusco, because I don't remember him playing last year when he was in Alianza in Cusco. I don't know if I'm wrong. Luis Aguiar is playing in Nacional now.
I don't remember either. I know that I remember. I don't think he was there when they lost 4-1 to Garcilaso in the Torneo Clausura. I don't think I remember him. But anyways, I was very happy at the crowd. We were talking about this pre-pod, but in Peru, if most people are province supporters, unless you're Arequipeño or Limeño, where you're going to support the club that's big there. Most clubs in the provinces, you're going to support them no matter who they are. Although Cusco is identified by Cienciano, and we can all agree that most people there are Cienciano fans either way. There's a few exceptions. So anyways, let's move on to the Alianza versus Boca game. I was lucky enough to be at the stadium for the game. I'll talk about my experience shortly, but Brian, you're an Alianza fan. Why don't you talk about your opinion of the game, what you think of the result, their performance, etc.?
Well, you could see as a positive and as a negative. You did lose 2 points from home, but the way that Boca played, they had control of almost the entire game. If they wanted to, they would have pushed a little bit more. I feel like they could have easily won the game, and Alianza just did what the coach told them to. And up to that point, it worked for them. They didn't score, they didn't get the win at home. They were close. There was a play from Hover that he didn't give it to Ramirez, and then the shot from Cruzado. But you can look at it as positive. It's a big point against an important team with the full house in their first game in 6 years, I believe. The last time they were in the group stage, it was 2012. So I'm just looking at it that way, and being honest, I think Alianza should aim for that third position and qualify to the next round of Copa Sudamericana, because already losing 2 points at home, it's really hard to qualify for the next round, especially in this really tough group of Copa Libertadores.
And I wanted to mention that Junior's first loss against Palmeiras is going to really help Alianza, because Junior do have to go to La Bombonera in the next match. And that is most likely a loss for them. I'm not going to rule out anything yet, but I will assume that they're going to lose there. So Alianza is going to be third for one more match day, more than likely. So, you want to say something?
No, you can't really rule out anything on Copa Libertadores. That's why this is, to me, the most beautiful international clubs tournament. You saw that the Venezuelan team beat the Copa Sudamericana champions Independiente 1-0.
Yeah.
So I just Alianza has to get those 2 wins at home, and I'm sure they'll be qualifying. At least they'll get the third place to go to the next Sudamericana round. It'll be tough, but Bengochea is really smart at setting up games.
Yeah, Christopher and I talked about this last pod where we think that Alianza could definitely get a home win, at least against one of Junior or Palmeiras, because Junior aren't as good as I expected them to be. They aren't as good as I thought they would be. And Palmeiras can be really underwhelming in the Copa Libertadores. They won the last 2. They had big expectations, and they let down their fans both times. So I can definitely see Alianza win there. My big concern is those 2 teams are teams, unlike Boca, that have explosive wingers. And what is Alianza's weakness? The fullbacks. So they had covered in this last game with Lemos and Costa, who covered the fullbacks really well, but they can't always rely on that. So that's the problem, is that limits you offensively a lot. So they have to be careful. And besides, I thought Duclos had a good game for his standards. I thought he was relatively comfortable, but Garro, he had a good game, but he was still terrible. So he was being beat up by his side all the time on pace. It was hard to watch, especially there in person. Now, as for my experience, I'm really happy with the ground. It nearly filled up. Occidente didn't fill up, which comes to a surprise to no one, considering how expensive those tickets were. And I think I'm really happy that both Cusco and Lima both filled up for the Libertadores games. I mean, like you said, Brian, this is Alianza's first Libertadores game, or at least group game, in 6 years. So it's gonna have people, and especially against Boca Juniors, which is a big appeal. I mean, I'm not an Alianza fan, and I was there. And there's a lot of people who weren't Alianza fans that I bet were there. Even some Peruvians wearing Boca shirts were there. So it was a party for both sides, and I think that Alianza definitely got a good point, especially considering how many people were saying that they were getting battered. They're going to lose badly to Boca, and they got a draw. So it's not a bad draw at all. They're the leaders in Argentina right now. They won the last championship. It looks like they're on course to win another championship this year. So I think that this is a good draw for Alianza. I was also happy with the performance with most of the players. You can look at what ifs, like Holbrook, like you said, Holbrook's pass to Ramirez that could have gone. This should have been the pass instead he shot. You could always look at that, but I don't believe in what ifs, because I believe what's happened, and that's the way it's going to be. And also, we look at what ifs. You can also look at Tevez's and I think it was Cardona's crossbar and post. What if those went in? So if you look at what ifs, we'll be looking at Boca 2-1 win. So Christopher, I'll let you go on to this now. What do you think of this game, and what do you think about all we said?
Well, I agree with what you guys have said. I think Bengochea was really smart with with bringing in the right substitutes. Unfortunately, and you know that I'm going to say this, right? Posito should have come in earlier. Posito should have come in earlier. Posito was probably the nine that Alianza needed. The thing is that I think that, and this is a funny thing because I feel like Alianza had this exact same problem last year too, that they are missing a strong forward. They're missing a nine that's going to kind of give them the goals that they need. We've talked, they have other things that they're lacking in, but at least for this specific game, Posito shouldn't come in, right? So or someone, I mean, like they need to hire, they get someone that's going to be able to get those balls. And honestly, like the Peruvian media, some people in the Peruvian media were talking about how Alianza was playing like a 4-6-0, right? It was like they had a lot of them in the midfield. They were doing a lot of good stuff for parts of the game, but there was no one to just really just put the ball behind the net or in
Yeah,
the net, right?
yeah.
So to
There
me,
were
go
times
ahead.
that the wingers were crossing and no one was there. I think they were just crossing automatically without looking, and no one was there. Yeah, they should have put the forward a little bit earlier. I agree
They
with you there.
they could have they should have done that. They could have done that, and I think that was the biggest downfall. The other thing is that obviously, like for example, like I'm not going to try to diverge too much, but like in the Olympics, the guy that finishes second is not as happy as the guy that finishes third, right? And it's the same way here. Like Alianza Lima tied, and we all feel like they were just so close. They were one kick away from that goal. They could have given them the 3 points, right? But we do have to remember, like Brian, like you were saying, right, that this is Boca Juniors that they played against, and so that tie, that point is really way more than what I personally expected out of Alianza Lima. I mean, we had joked about this with Brian also during the week about how I expected Alianza Lima to lose 4-0 at home, 3-0 at home, something crazy like that. And it's, I mean, like, yeah, we have to give them a round of applause and say, hey, you managed to really fight against one of the best teams in the continent.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm happy with the result for Alianza Lima. And I do want to make a joke that if Peter was here with us making this podcast, he would say that Quevedo should have come on earlier, not Posito. So we would have had this long debate. We would have had this long debate about who should have come on first, Posito or Quevedo. So at times I'm kind of glad both of you aren't on this time because that would have been the whole podcast, Quevedo or Posito. But I think both should have come in earlier, personally, because Posito. I mean, I don't think he's this world or not. I don't want to say world class because that just sounds awful. I want to say like really good striker for the Peruvian division. I wasn't going to say world class, by the way. I was going to say world class for Peru, but that term doesn't work. So I don't want to say he's this amazing forward for Peru, but he's better than what Alianza had last year. He's a lot better than Leyes. He already has 3 goals, and it's 3 goals away from equaling Pajoy's record from last year. So I think Posito has got to be given more of a chance. Now I will say this: there is a chance that Bengoche wants to have him fresh and have him as a super sub, but then you want to ask the question why he came in that late that he did. I believe he came on the 86th minute, which is the 86 minutes too late. You could have put him
Yeah.
on like the 60th minute and maybe back goal or something. I just think so. Is there anything else guys want to add to this?
No, no. I think we covered pretty much everything when it comes to that game.
All right, so I guess we can talk about one more thing in the Libertadores before we move on to call-ups. The next week is I believe it's next week. I thought it was tomorrow, but it's actually not tomorrow. The next Libertadores game is Real Garcila's versus Estudiantes. They're away from home. Estudiantes are the home side, and it's gonna be a tense game. But what do you guys think of this one? This one's kind of a doozy. I'll start with you, Christopher.
Well, like Brian said earlier, the other Brian, I believe that the goal for both Peruvian sides right now is to try to make it to the third slot. It's not that I don't have faith in the Peruvian sides, right? But we understand that we're facing teams that are much more impressive, at least on paper, than the two Peruvian sides in the Libertadores right now. So I think that if they keep that as their base goal in mind, and then they can work from there, right? So, to be honest with you, I mean, now that I've seen Real Garcilaso play in the international tournament, I'm gonna say that they can pull off a tie. I mean, that's kind of what my expectations of them are. If they lose, then I mean that would really disappoint me, obviously. But that's kind of what I think. I think it's going to be a solid tie, or that's what I would hope for at least.
I say 2-0 for Estudiantes. I have faith, but I'm also trying to keep it kind of realistic. So I think they'll pull off a 0-0, and then the second half they'll concede the 2 goals. So that's just what I think. Although I will say that Real Garcilaso has probably been the best international team in Peru in the last few years. I'm not just talking about 2013. I remember in I think it was 16. I think it was 2016 where they played Aucas, and that was one of Garcilaso's really low spots because that was when they had Roberto Cosme as a striker. They had Wilmer Valencia as the manager. It was just a mess. The back line was terrible. There was no organization at all, and they went to Ecuador, got a 2-1 loss, and then won at home in Arequipa 1-0. So I always do see our Garcilasos overachieving in these tournaments. So maybe they'll do something more here. But I think that this is definitely the side we want to follow if we want to prove doing well, because I mean they always manage to surprise me in these tournaments. Brian, what do you think on this game? Any predictions, and what are your thoughts on what we said?
Just like previous Copa Libertadores, Garcilaso is always strong in the altitude. Well, at least in the 2013 Copa Libertadores, in which they managed to qualify. If they keep 0-0 in the first half, I feel like they could bring a 1 point from Argentina. If they don't, they will definitely get 0 points. I would just focus on them with their home games and get those 9 points to qualify. But I don't see them winning this game.
I said it last week too that I think that Garcilaso's best chance to get points away from home is in Montevideo, which I'm not sure when they play. It might be their last game or the third to last game. But Nacional de Montevideo aren't very good at home. They've showed that they struggle sometimes at home. I think that's Garcila's best chance to get a point or a few 3 points away from home. But I maintain that if Garcilaso get at least 1 point away from home and win the rest of their home games, they're through. So that's just what I think. I think that you got to get at least 1 point away from home if they want to qualify, or they can win all 3 home games and hope the other ones just draw a bunch of games. Which so far it's gone off to a good start because the Estudiantes Nacional game ended in a draw. So, yeah, Christopher, do you have anything else to say about this matter?
No, I think I would agree with you that obviously, I guess the goal, if we want to see Real Garcilaso moving on, would be 9 points, right? Like all points at home, and then I think with 10 points is just barely enough to probably see you move on to the next stage of the tournament.
We've got to make advantage of the altitude. It's no excuse because the last few years we've had struggled, and all Peruvians have struggled in general. And I mean, the 2 worst examples have been Huancayo and Melgar. And I know Arequipa's not that high up, but it's still altitude. And Huancayo is just terrible in international competition. But this year might be different, as we'll see later on this week. We've kind of already previewed them, so we're not going to talk about them today. But yeah. So let's go to the call-ups. This is the big one. Or first off, before the call-ups, I almost forgot, we did get one question. So
okay.
let's answer that. This is kind of about the Peruvian national team. So it's kind of a segue. But the question we got is from my friend New Zealand Abel Gamarra at Abelanda 81. He says, would you take Pedro Aquino or Wilder Cartagena to Russia? So I'll start with you, Brian. What would you say there?
I will take both of them. Definitely, both of them.
I like that.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And Christopher, what do you think?
I don't know. That's a tough question. Honestly, you're putting me on the spot. I wouldn't know what to tell you. I mean, they both have been. Go ahead.
I'll step in first, I suppose. If we have to choose one out of the 2, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's Pedro Aquino. But if we have to, but I'm agreeing with Brian that I think we have to take both because I think one of the places I think the place after left back that struggles the most in depth is the center midfield position, which we struggle in. Like if you take on Yotun and Tapia, or you have Aquino, and after that, there's no one. So I think that Cartagena should be the fourth choice for that center mid spot because I mean. Cueva, when he did play as an 8, or was it a 6? I don't remember. It was in the Bolivia game. I thought it was superb. But we can't rely on moving Cueva back to playing as a 6 or an 8 because then who's going to go in that attacking midfielder spot? I mean, it's a risk. I'd rather have Cueva in the number 10 and then have someone who can always rely on. So I personally think that Cartagena and Aquino both have to go just for the bench for the depth of it. But if we had to take just one of the two, if that's what the answer we wanted to hear, then I would take Aquino, no brainer. Christopher, what do you think?
Yeah, I think right off. I mean, like considering that I hadn't thought about it too much, from what you're telling me, I would agree with your opinion. I mean, like this, we have to think that it's a short squad, right? It's only 23, so it's almost like you have the main player that you know that's going to be going off against Denmark on the first game, and then you have whoever is its natural substitute. And so I kind of feel like when we're talking about Aquino and Cartagena, we're talking about what if like our main guys weren't able to play for some reason. And so we have to be careful there because, yeah, like we don't have 30 players, in the squad. We only have 23. Mm-hmm. So, but taking that into consideration, then, yeah, I think we can go with probably with Aquino. I think that's kind of what I'm leaning towards.
And speaking of Cartagena, and I'm going to just segue into the next part. He wasn't called up for the friendlies. So before we go on to the shocks of the call-ups of who was called up, and if anything else we thought was missing, what do you guys think on this exclusion? I can find it kind of surprising. I mean, he's not outstanding in Mexico, but he's playing abroad after all, and that's kind of Verica's philosophies. Did he perhaps see too many options, or did he want to try something? I can establish. I think he's going to be in the preliminary squad at least, but I mean, it's going to be hard. I'm surprised he wasn't called for these friendlies in general. Christopher, I'll start with you.
What about like the call-ups in general?
No, just Cartagena, firstly.
Just Cartagena. No, I mean, this is kind of always a risk that you have to be willing to take, right? I think all the Peruvian players kind of thought that through about, like, is it better if I go international? Because it seems like kind of, obviously, Gareca likes to see the players go out of Peru. But at the same time, if you stay at home, then you can find a spot kind of in a team and kind of show that you're playing at a consistent level to be considered for the national squad. And some of them took a gamble and lost. Some of them took a gamble and won. So, I mean, I don't think Cartagena is like not going to be considered for the main squad still. I'm sure that something tells me that Gareca probably talked to him. Gareca probably told him, hey, like I given you a chance. I want to see other people right now. So it's not like you're out of the list. I'm just looking at other options, and I'll continue to take you on, take you in consideration when the real list comes up in a few months.
Yeah, possibly. He does go on tours a lot, and maybe not tours, but he does go on around the world a lot to see the Peruvians and talk to them. So maybe Cartagena is one that the press hasn't reported. Brian, what do you think of his absence?
Yeah, I didn't see a reason why not call him. He's constantly playing. I was surprised as well not to see him there. The only thing I could think of is that he's already seen him play. And every time Cartagena has played for the national team, he's done it very, very well against Ecuador with the 1 down and Argentina, and it was I was surprised that he didn't get called up. So the only reason was to maybe see it. I've already seen you play, so I already know how can you respond, in high pressure games. So I'm gonna use these 2 games to check out other players. hopefully he did talk to him before.
For sure, and there were a few surprises. Brian, I'll go back to you. What are the top 3 surprises for you in this list?
Sucho. I don't. His level is not the same as last year. I wouldn't say Duarte is a surprise because of the injuries that Gallese and Butron got. I feel like Butron would have been called if he didn't get injured against Boca, just for his experience. But now that he got injured and Penny not playing, this was the perfect timing for Alejandro Duarte to get called up. Hopefully he gets playing time because he is really good. And to me, one of the surprises was Hover. Hover's been playing really good. He's already been on the national team and he did not get called up. I don't think he will make it to the World Cup, but I would have loved to see him get called up.
I did include him on my preliminary squad. I think it was 2 weeks back, 2 pods back. And I think it's a matter of taste, to be honest. I honestly think that it's a matter of taste because Holberg was on the national team for the rebuilding, for the process that he wanted to take, Gareca. And he was called up, but he didn't really take his chance, although he has improved a lot since then. He played in a very similar role to Vallejo, but I do think he has improved a lot in the last 2 years.
He's playing better now.
Perhaps it's a bit too early to judge because it might just be a purple patch. Who knows? But I think he's playing well. It's a purple patch. I see that.
Yeah, I would have called him instead of Andy Polo. The same way that Cartagena didn't called up because he's already seen Cartagena. Gareca has already trained with Cartagena. And Andy Polo has had a lot of playing time with Gareca, and he's been called out much more many times than Alejandro Hover. So I feel like this could have been the perfect timing for him to get one chance, to show Gareca if he deserved to be called up to the World Cup. I still don't think he would have made it, but I would have loved to see him in these friendlies. I really thought he was gonna get called up.
And Christopher, I'll go to you before I go to my surprises. Top 3 surprises for you?
Well, first of all, I think we have to start with Sucho, right? He has received some criticism from Universitario fans, and that's something that we have talked about in the past. That sometimes he's a young guy, we might put a lot of pressure on him. But I think it totally reinforces the point of why Sucho is here and Hover is not. And that is that, Gareca has a style of playing and Gareca likes certain players more than others because of what he kind of has in his mind, how he wants to build a team. And that's why, to me, Sucho was a surprise. And as the Peruvian media have interviewed him about this, that's what he said. He said, we like how he plays. That's why he's here. And so, I'm kind of happy that he's getting a chance. But yeah, to me, that's probably a surprise. It's kind of hard to define the word surprise because, like Brian was saying, Duarte is a surprise because he's never been called before. But at the same time, it's like if you don't have Penny, if you don't have Butron, and if you don't have Gallese because of injury, well, Penny is not injured, but the other 2 are. Then yeah, it was obvious that Duarte was kind of the next one up, right? He's the one that's been playing well for his team. He's been showing himself in San Martin, and he's a young guy that can be the next goalie for the Peru national squad, and who knows, maybe in the next World Cup. Obviously, Gallese is not going to be our goalie forever, right? And then the third surprise, it's obviously between Christian Benavente, which is not so much of a surprise because he's been playing really well in Belgium and Charleroi. I can't even pronounce that. And I think everybody, saw that he was working hard to come, back to Peru and represent. And so, he's really earned that. He's really earned that chance to show himself right before the World Cup. So maybe my third surprise, in air quotes, would be Beto da Silva, right? Who's played about 5 games with the national team, and who unfortunately didn't have a good 2017, and who seems to be starting to turn that around in Argentina this year.
My only two surprises, like my only two real surprises of the call-ups anyways, is Sucho and Da Silva. Now, Da Silva is a name that I didn't really expect to hear. I mean, I do know that Gareca's always liked him. Gareca's always trying to get the best out of him. That game against Argentina in the home game, that was really impressive. When he was at Cristal, he was arguably the best player in the league, arguably. But yeah, I know Gareca's always liked him, and if Gareca gets the chance to call him up and try him, he was going to do so. And as for Sucho, I did not expect to hear his name, but I did know that Gareca had him on his radar for a while. Gareca, there's a player that Gareca really liked, and I knew it was Sucho. I knew it was Sucho because Sucho plays very similarly to Edison Flores. At least when Edison Flores was in Peru, because he was a player that was an inside forward. He was really good at dribbling, but his end product is really poor, just like Flores when he was in Peru. So I know Gareca can get the best out of Sucho just like he got the best out of Edison Orejas. So I'm hoping that he does so. Now, as for players that were not called up, Holberg maybe. Duranto's not so much of a shock because Duranto, you could argue just having a purple patch. I included him on 2 weeks ago, but he's many people are starting to see him as someone who surpassed Silla, and I think he's going to deserve a call up. I think he's going to have a good enough season to get there to the preliminary squad, anyways, not the World Cup itself. And I think that's definitely the one that's definitely the one that there's no really surprises that were left out in my opinion. Only Cartagena, and that's about it. The others, they're kind of players that they're really expected. I guess Andy Polo making the squad could also be a shock because he's not getting playing time and he's not doing particularly well either. And Loyola as well. I think Loyola has had enough chances to improve. He's never improved because confidence has not helped him at all. So I think that he's another player that's kind of shocking to see. Christopher, I'll go back to you. What do you think on all this?
Well, let's see. Let me go back to you. So I'm gonna ask a question. Like, if Loyola, I know there's been a lot of criticism about Loyola and his call up to the main squad. So who would you replace for Loyola then? I mean, if you hadn't called Loyola, who would you even called, for example?
I actually would have given Ivan Santillan a chance for Loyola.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I was going to say that as well.
Because he's been a steady player for the past 6 years. Yeah. And I don't think he's ever been called by either Markarian or Gareca or Bengoechea.
I was going to say the same thing. Even Santillan is one player who could have definitely gotten a chance. Again, well, no, I'm not going to say a purple patch, but this has been his best season in a while, in my opinion. I mean, he's always been good, but in my opinion, this has been his best start to the season in a while. He's been Garcilaso's second or third best player, I want to say. As for another choice, Gerson Vasquez is slowly getting back into form. He started off the season a bit poorly, but he would have been he was my second option last year. And this year, I'm not going to change my opinion if he gets better, because he kind of started the season off a bit lazily. But, yeah, I think he's the other two left backs. We kind of discussed this last week. Loyola's not my second choice anymore. He's young, but I think Gareca's getting him too many chances, and he's not really kicked off since he got the chance. He's kind of stagnated. He's still just as poor in international competitions, and yeah, he's not a player. Do you guys think he really should have gotten another chance? Brian, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, no, Loyola, his level has gone down, and the same thing, this was the perfect timing to see other players, and I would have called Ivan Santillan for Loyola. And yeah.
Okay, let him finish that.
Oh, no, and then maybe, well, then again, he did have an injury. See Carlos Asquez once again on the getting call. But I can see him not getting called out due to his injury. He's just getting back into form. You saw it against Boca Juniors. He was not at 100%.
Yeah, and how about you, Christopher, before we move on to the friendly previews?
I don't know. I don't think I have anything to add. I think I agree with what has been said.
All right. So let's go on our friendly preview. We kind of briefly previewed them in the past, but we kind of just added little notes. Now we're going to go more into detail. So I'm going to go again. I'm going to let you guys go first. We're going to talk about the Croatia friendly. First of all, Brian, which one's the friendly in Miami? I believe you're gonna go to one of them. Am I correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the one in against Croatia in the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami.
Nice. So we'll have you on. We'll try to get you on for that part as well. So that'll be nice. And Croatia. Now, here's the thing about Croatia. Croatia, in my opinion, have a better first team squad than Argentina. But the problem is that they don't have work ethic or discipline, which Argentina do. So that's the difference right there. That's why Croatia never. I mean, just you got to look at the past tournament history with Croatia. They have really good players. They have Modric. They have Mandzukic. They have Rakitic. There's another player I'm trying to remember that was really good.
Kovacic from Real Madrid.
Kovacic. That's the guy. So they have an insane midfield. Defense is kind of lackluster, but so is Argentina. So there's a problem. There's a similarity there. And yeah, I think they have a really good squad. But again, you got to look at past tournament history. The World Cup 2014 went down the group stages. World Cup 2010, I don't even remember what they did there. I know they qualified, but I don't know what they did there. 2016 lost in round of 16 to Portugal, the eventual champions, but it was a really dull match, and they could have done more. They could have done more of that. So Croatia, and they kind of underachieved in qualifying too, where they could have gone past Belgium in the 2014 qualifiers, and I don't remember who they had in this qualifier, but I'm pretty sure they finished second again. So yeah, Croatia definitely an underwhelming side, but they still have really, really good players. So we got to watch out for them. What are your opinions of Croatia, guys? What are your opinions of this game? Go to you first.
Yeah, I call Croatia the itchy team because all their names end in itch of some kind, right? Itch. They're all itching for glory. Let's put it that way, right? But I don't know. I think Peru's in a good spot, right? I think Croatia had a pretty decent run. I was just looking at the table as you were talking, Brian. Iceland finished first in their group with 22 points. Croatia finished second with 20 points, right? So I mean, that was really close. That was really close. And then the next one was Ukraine with 17 points. So it was kind of between the three of them that they were fighting for those two slots. And I mean, they were really solid at home from what I remember. Not like basically undefeated at home. And you know, where they kind of had a few mistakes, which they didn't have many. Also, I mean, the quality of teams that were playing. I mean, like Turkey, Finland, Kosovo. You know, they're not known for being world soccer nations, obviously. So, but even then, that's kind of where they struggled a little bit more. At home, they were just fine, right? So that, I mean, just kind of from that superfluous per se analysis, I want to say that that things are going to be okay, right? I think Peru has that fighting spirit. You know, we want to honor Peredo. We want to have a good year, have a good 2018, start with the right foot, and so therefore I'm not too worried. I think that Gareca has had a lot of time to think about this, and that we could see a tie, we could see Peru win, but yeah, no, I feel confident per se.
And Brian, how are you?
Yeah, I feel like these two games with Croatia and Iceland, the score is the least of the worries. And I just want to see, hopefully, Siucho and Alejandro Duarte play and see their development. Croatia is a tough team, and I don't. The stadium is probably going to be 90% Peruvian, and I think. I think a win is possible, but then again, these are friendly. Sometimes when you do your 6 substitutions, the game changes completely. So I feel like with a tie and see all these new players play, I'll go home happy. I'm just happy that we're playing a World Cup team. You know, we're not Jamaica anymore, not Trinidad and Tobago like back in the day on the Burga years. You know, those friendlies were just terrible.
I do want to say that I kind of hope I do want to see Peru win as always. I always want to see Peru win, but at the same time, in these friendlies, I do want to see them win one and lose one because I don't want complacency to kick in for the World Cup. I don't want to think that we're world beaters for just for winning friendly games. So I really do hope that we don't. If we do win and we don't get complacent, great. But I mean, that does get me a little nervous that it can happen. It's happened with Colombia many times in the past, and Peru's not much different in that sense. So we gotta. And I think Brazil's had this problem before too. It happened with the 2013 Confederations Cup, and the Brazil press was mad, and they look what happened there. So we got to be careful. It's most of all it's a South American problem, bar Argentina and Uruguay, and you can see Chile as well. There's another example when they beat Mexico 7-0. So I do worry a little bit about that, but I do think we'll win one and lose one. I'm not sure who to yet. I don't want to make any predictions, but I think a higher chance we'll beat Croatia and lose to Iceland because Iceland play more as a unit than Croatia do, and I think that's the match that we're more likely to lose. I mean, they're not better players than Croatia, but they're more gelled. They're more glued together than Croatia are because Croatia has the talent and Iceland has the power. So, yeah. Now we can segue into the next match before I go to my last question of the pod. Same question. What do you guys expect from this match? Do you think quality will shine tonight, or do you think it's going to be a more tight match due to the two teams working as a unit? Christopher, what do you?
Well, first of all, I'd like to point out that Brian's going to be in Florida. I'm planning on being in New Jersey for the ice. I can't talk for the Iceland Peru versus Iceland game, and I'm super excited because that's actually the first time I'm going to be seeing the Peru national team live in my life. So, anyways, now that we've talked about me, let's talk about the game. So, I mean, like you guys are convincing me. You know, maybe I am always a little bit more positive when it comes to the Peru performance. But I do see as, you know, we're kind of riding that whole like, oh, we were undefeated for a whole year thing, you know. And so maybe I would hope that maybe we tie or, you know, like if we lose against Croatia, then that can help us be even better against Iceland. So I honestly, not just because I'm going to be there that night, but I do think that Peru can beat Iceland. I think we've shown unity, just like Iceland has shown unity. I think, you know, Iceland is coming off that whole. This is the first time we qualified. We're the smallest nation in the world to qualify for a World Cup, and so it's going to be kind of a fight between two debutants. Because honestly, it's been so long since we last went to the World Cup. It almost feels like it's for the first time that we're going to. And so, hearing you guys talk, I'm going to say that we could lose, that we might lose the Croatia game or tie the Croatia game, but that we will and we could be strong for the Iceland game.
Yeah, either way.
I do want to say.
Go ahead.
You can go first.
Well, I was gonna say either way. You know, if we lose, this is the time to lose. You know, and to correct the mistakes, then rather to do it at the World Cup.
Yeah. I do want to say it is crazy. I just wanted to point this fact out that San Juan de Lurigancho is 3 times the population of Iceland. Just wanted to point that out. No one's really said that yet. Everyone's comparing El Salvador to Iceland, but I'm comparing San Juan de Lurigancho, which is 3 times the population, which is mad if you think about it. But
right.
Yeah, this is a hard one. This is a tough one. I definitely think that Iceland are a decent side. Again, I don't think they have great players, but I do think they have unity, and you got to be careful for that. But now for the last question of the pod, what do you want to see in the lineups and the subs? Last time against Jamaica and against who was before we played
Paraguay,
Jamaica and Paraguay, yeah. We saw the first team lineups with many subs in the second half, and then we saw some quality. I believe in the Paraguay game we saw Manzaneda. Jamaica, I don't remember who we saw, but we saw Manzaneda and Sukkot in those games. So what would you guys like to see from the lineup? Do you want to see the normal lineup, the ones that are not injured, with certain players that are injured, and then to see the new guys as the subs, or do you want to see the new guys straight away? Brian, go to you first.
No, I want to see the main team, you know, with the exception of the goalkeeper and the forward, and due to the injuries and dissension for Guerrero and Gallese. And I want to give them. I don't want to see the new players 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I want to see them longer. I want to see them at least 30 minutes. I do want to see Sucho, like I already mentioned it before, Sucho and Alejandro Duarte play at least 30 minutes out of the 180 minutes of these two friendlies.
And how about you, Christopher?
Well, if there's one thing that I want to see and that I really liked, I believe he did this in the Jamaica game, right? Obviously, it was Jamaica, right? So we weren't like super worried, and we were playing in Arequipa, which is altitude, a high altitude city also. But what I really liked is that he gave both the second and third goalie a chance at the goal, right? So first, if I'm not mistaken, it was Caseda that started, right? And then at the halfway mark, he gave Carvalho the chance to be the goalie, and that kind of
I did forget about that.
Because let's be honest, the one position in soccer that changes the least, right, is the goalie, right? For example, Sport Rosario last year, Salomon Lehmann played all 44 games. The guy that was the second goalie did not see a minute of gameplay. And so the fact that Gareca cares about that and that he gave him at least 45 minutes each, right? I really want to see him do that again, especially because I do want to see if Duarte can be the goalie of the future, right? Kind of give him 45 minutes to show himself, to show what he's capable of, not just at San Martin, the little club in Lima, but also at the quote-unquote world stage against a World Cup team.
I prefer Duarte to Casada any day of the week. I will say that. I think he's still a donkey, so you got easy. That's the thing that worries me about Casada the most, because I still think he's I mean, you just look at his decision he made. He ended up at Municipal when he was supposed to go for Houston, for Cholos. He ended up at Municipal. So you basically, I guess you could argue it was to step down. But if he stayed, Lau could have been just as strong as last year, possibly. If he and one other player stayed, rather. So it's weird. Now, as for me, before I end the pod, I agree with Brian for the most part, that I think we should see the main squad play firstly, and then we should see the sub Sucho for 30 minutes, Duarte for 30 minutes. I think who was the sub? I actually think Duarte should start, because I'm not a big fan of Casada. Casada has not really made good decisions. I don't think he should be rewarded for that. And yeah, I agree with Brian. I want to see those players. I want to see the starters. I want us to take the friendly seriously, but also have a bit of fun with the other players. And yeah, that's my opinion. So if you guys don't have anything else to add, I will end the pod here. My name is B_Bertie98 on Twitter. The Peruvian Waltz Twitter is at Peru Waltz. And we'll go Christopher first, because he's one of the usual panelists. Christopher, what is your Twitter?
First of all, you know that there's a panelist that is not here with us tonight that would be very happy that you did not put underscore in Peru Waltz, right? You probably would have wanted me to
I did that last week, and he applauded me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
I'll say that you can follow him. You can follow him at Galindo PW. So he's always with us. He's basically the co-host of the show, but he couldn't make it tonight. So we'll add his Twitter. And Christopher, what is your Twitter?
Yeah. Anyways, so my name is Christopher Vizcardo, humbly, and I am Viz_FC on Twitter.
And Brian, what about you?
Mine it's Brian at BRYAN, and then the first four letters are my last name, which are V as in Victor, AL, D as in David, and 1904.
All right. So thank you for listening. Make sure you tune in next week for the pod, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye.